Welcome to Maximize Your True Potential, Strategies for Success, hosted by Ken Kingstead. Part 10, Overcoming the Money Objection Call Guide. This series will give you the edge to recognize and then achieve your goals through its philosophy of constant, never-ending improvement. Strategies that will become a fluid part of who you are. Maximize your true potential, Strategies for Success. Your first step to success, beyond your imagination.
Welcome back. Again, I want to thank you for, again, putting some time aside to really strengthen yourself and your callbacks. Listen, this next call is called the money objection. It's the one that we struggle with, it seems, the most. It frustrates me quite a bit sometimes, or I should say it fascinates me quite a bit, because I think the issue with the money isn't really the money. It's how do we sell the car? I mean, honestly, I know from my own stores, my people rush the sales process a ton. And it ends up, they want to get in, get out, and get the next customer in and get out and make their fast dollar. And listen, remember I said it's about relationship selling. The way you approach your customer, the way you fact find, the way you present the car, the way you do these processes through the selling issues is really how you build value in the car. Would you agree? How many questions do you create mental ownership with through the process of the steps of the sale? And I'm telling you right now, you should get about 30 to 40 yes commitments before you even bring the customer in the dealership to try to close them. I really believe that with all my heart, okay? But the bottom line, though, is that here we are going through the process, and this is what your standard, or I would say 80% of the salespeople out there do this. They spend 20% of their time finding the right car, demoing the car, presenting the car, and rushing the process. They get inside, and it's about the money, it's about the money, it's about the money. And you know what? Where do you build value in the car? Mental ownership is how you build value. You understand? And if you can strengthen the value of your vehicle, what's going to happen? You're going to sell that vehicle. Again, mental ownership overcomes financial ownership. Does that make sense? So here again is the secret to our process. We want to take our time, build value in yourself, build value in the dealership, and build value, if you will, with the vehicle that they're trying to buy. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, and then close. The close is a transition. It should be an easy transition. You should be ready to go inside and close because you've asked 30 to 40 times. You've tied them down 30 to 40 times through that process. And what happens traditionally is you go inside and you're not ready yet, and they're not even really sold in the car. And guess what? People come in and they have two huge fears. Their biggest fear is buying the wrong vehicle. The second largest fear is paying too much money for the wrong vehicle. And how do you overcome that? Through selling, by serving, and by really listening to the customer's wants and needs. That's how you overcome their challenges. Okay? You listen to their wants and needs. You develop a recipe, if you will, of their wants and needs, and then you go ahead and you fulfill their wants and needs through the process. And again, I'm not trying to teach you the steps to the sale, but I'm trying to allow you to understand that you hear the money objection quite often because of a poor job during the steps to the sale. Okay? So if we can work on that, it's a different tape series, but if we can work on that process, this won't come up quite as much. It'll still be there. So when it does come up, and let's say you are a 20%er doing things the proper way, what do you do when you do hear the money objection? I'll tell you what you need to do. First off, let's recap. Let's figure out what we need to do when we call a customer back. Again, from the top. Hi, is Mr. Smith there, please? Mr. Smith, am I getting you at a good time? Fantastic. This is Ken Kingstead. Just giving you a call back. I want to follow up with you, concerning your experience with our dealership last night. I know that you were just trying to educate yourself a little bit in the process, and I think it's really smart that you're doing things that way. Heck, I'd do the same thing if I was in your shoes. But sometimes my customers will go home, they'll go through their notes and so forth, and a question or two will pop in their minds. And I was a little concerned about you. Did you have any questions about our vehicle since you went home last night? And guess what they're going to do? They're going to say yes or no. All right? And then go right back to your call guide and paste their answer. If they say yes, say, hey, great, I apologize for missing your question. What was the question? Oh, did they have this or that? If they say no, again, paste that. I'm glad. I pride myself really on, making sure my customers really leave here with all the information to make a quality decision. Hey, by the way, did you like the vehicle? Yeah, we did like the vehicle. Again, compared to what? Compared to this vehicle. Well, good for you. You're doing your homework. What impressed you or surprised you about our vehicle? And then what was the one thing that really held you back or prevented you from just, going forward last night and buying our car? And again, it was the money. All right. So then go back to pacing the customer again. We want to make sure we're always pacing their answers. I understand that money's a big issue. Let's face it, this is a big decision you're going through. Me and my wife went out and bought a camcorder just, heck, a month ago. We sat down and we scratched out a budget for ourselves. Again, refresh my memory. What kind of a target or budget range were you trying to get to on a vehicle like this one? He'll come back and say, well, I want to be at 300, up to as high as, no more than. Again, we're going to try to bump them a little bit by asking these stretching questions. But again, you may say, well, I know where he wants to be, Ken, because last night he told me. That's okay. The guy may have went home, and he did a great job, right, building value in the automobile. So he went home, and those questions that you asked him, like, can you see this thing in your garage, comes back to his mind. The question of his neighbor coming over and talking to him about his new automobile. The fact that he drove home in his automobile that he came there with, and he experiences the new vehicle versus his old vehicle. He may have went home and sat down with his wife and did what? Bumped themselves. Because you did such a good job at trying to do what? Close them when they were there. You built tremendous mental ownership. So guess what? People will say, you know what? Well, last night they were thinking 3.25. He may come back now and say, well, I want to be around, 350. I guess I'd go as high as 350. Well, guess what? Don't assume anything. Go for the bump and stretch. And we get the target budget range-wise. Create flexibility in your customer's mind's eye. Now, once you create that flexibility, you know where you were last night. Now, if you're within $20 of the actual car deal from making it happen last night, you know what I would do now? Bring them back in. You know what? I think we got some good news. And as long as you're a little flexible on your side, I'm sure I can get a lot of flexibility on my side. When's a good time for you to come back in and take a look at her again? This afternoon or this evening? If you're like so far apart, there's no chance, apologize. You know what? I apologize. I'm really sorry. I pride myself truly on, really trying to educate my customers and find the right vehicle at the right price. And obviously, I dropped the ball last night when you were out here, and I didn't take into consideration your budget as much. I tell you what, if you're a little flexible, we've got another vehicle out here right now that I know would fit your budget. Now, we looked at your vehicle last night, and that's why, again, going back to the steps of the sale, okay, we want to card the customer down, remember? We want to show them the lowest priced vehicle when we do show a vehicle. So this is your leverage point. Remember last night when I showed you the vehicle without the leather and you said, no, 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 I have to have leather? Well, again, if we bumped them and we're still too far away, go back to that now and say, you know what, I apologize. That's why I was trying to show you the vehicle without the leather first. But you said, you had to have leather. Let me ask you, if I can get the same vehicle without the leather, I know we're probably going to make it happen financially for you with your budget. Are you flexible at all? That's our two choices here. Either we're going to have to flip the customer to a different vehicle with less equipment, or we can bump the customer or stretch them on their monthly budget to get them where they need to be. Either way, those are your choices. If you're within $25, $30, guess what? Let's bring them back in. If they're a little flexible, man, we'll be flexible for them too. Let's bring them back in, give them some hope for gain. Again, the drive again, recap the vehicle, get them emotionally stimulated again on the vehicle. You're going to close half those customers yourself anyway. You know that. If we're too far away, don't bring them in under false pretenses. I never recommend you lie to a customer and give them false hope. But what I would say that if we're like $75 or whatever away, do a takeaway. You know what? I got an idea for you. I got the same vehicle, got a little less equipment, but it's got all the things that you're hoping for. When can you come in and take a look at this vehicle and switch them to that vehicle? Does that make sense? Go for the appointment. That's our technique we need to utilize to create some hope for gain. Okay? So one of the most important things we need to do here with the money objection is learn, this is the way we sell cars. Create that emotional attachment, that value there. So when it gets time to the money, we can close more effectively. But if we're too far away, we can either flip or we need to bump. Does that make sense? So again, these are the three types of calls that we need to master. Now trust me on this here. If it's anything other than these three, it's smoke and mirrors. In other words, if it's my wife, if it's my banker, are the reasons they didn't buy the vehicle, guess what you need to do? Align with that statement. Hey, I understand you want to talk to your wife about it. Let's face it, this is a big decision that you're going through. Other than talking to your wife, what was the one thing that's prevented you from going forward and buying the vehicle? Again, it goes back to one of these three. All right? So do your homework. Work through the process. Again, repetition is what? The mother of all skill. Okay? Sharpen your axe on a daily basis and watch this again and again and again. I promise you, you'll get better. Hey, listen, until next time, have a great day.